The smell of blood mixed with concrete dust filled the air as Marcus Williams lay trapped under twisted metal beams, his expensive suit torn and dirty. Above him, a woman in a bright yellow hard hat was pulling at the heavy steel with her bare hands, her face covered in sweat and determination. "Stay with me," she shouted over the sound of sirens getting closer. "I'm not leaving you here." Marcus tried to speak, but only a weak whisper came out. This woman, this stranger, was risking her own life to save his. As darkness began to close in around his vision, he saw her eyes. They were filled with something he had never seen before in his world of money and power. Genuine care for another human being. The construction site accident had happened so fast. One moment he was walking through his new hotel project, and the next, everything came crashing down. But this woman, who was she? And why was she willing to risk everything for someone she didn't even know? As the metal beam shifted dangerously above them both, Marcus realized his life was about to change forever. But he had no idea just how much. 3 months earlier, Marcus Williams stood on the top floor of his glass office building, looking down at the busy streets of downtown Atlanta. At 32 years old, he owned more buildings than he could count, had more money than most people would see in 10 lifetimes, and could buy anything he wanted with a simple phone call. But as he watched the tiny people walking below like ants, he felt something strange in his chest. A hollow feeling that all the money in the world couldn't fill. "Mr. Williams?" His assistant, Jennifer, knocked on his office door. "The city planning meeting is in 20 minutes. Marcus sighed and straightened his perfectly pressed tie. Today he would present his biggest project yet. A luxury hotel that would bring millions of dollars to the city. The Williams Grand Hotel would be 40 stories tall, with golden elevators, marble floors, and rooms that cost more per night than most people made in a month. "Let's go make some money," he said to himself, but the words felt empty. At the city hall, Marcus sat at a long table facing 12 serious-looking people who would decide if his hotel could be built. The room smelled like old books and floor polish, and the lights hummed quietly above. "Ladies and gentlemen," Marcus began, clicking his remote to show pictures of his beautiful hotel design on the big screen. "The Williams Grand Hotel will create 500 jobs, bring tourists from all over the world, and make Atlanta even more famous." But as he spoke about marble bathrooms and crystal chandeliers, one woman in the audience caught his attention. She sat in the back row wearing work clothes and a baseball cap. Unlike everyone else who nodded and smiled at his presentation, she was frowning and taking notes. When Marcus finished his presentation, the chairwoman asked, "Does anyone have questions or concerns about this project?" The woman in work clothes stood up. "I do," she said in a clear, strong voice. Marcus felt his stomach tighten. He wasn't used to people questioning his plans. "I'm Sarah Johnson," the woman continued. "I work construction and I've been building in this city for 8 years. That land you want to use for your fancy hotel? That's where the old community center used to be. Hundreds of kids learned to play basketball there. Families had birthday parties and wedding receptions there." Sarah's voice grew stronger as she spoke. "You're going to tear down the memory of that place to build a hotel that only rich people can afford. What about the families who live in this neighborhood? What about the kids who need somewhere safe to play?" Marcus felt heat rise in his face. Who was this woman to question his business? "Miss Johnson," he said, standing up and using his most important voice, "this hotel will bring jobs and money to the community. That's good for everyone." "Jobs?" Sarah laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "What kind of jobs? Cleaning toilets for people who make more money in a day than we make in a year? And when you're done building, where will the construction workers go? Most of your jobs will go to people from outside the neighborhood." The room was so quiet you could hear people breathing. Marcus felt something he rarely experienced: embarrassment. This woman was making him look bad in front of important people. "Miss Johnson," he said, his voice getting colder. "I understand you may not understand how business works, but I understand perfectly how your kind of business works," Sarah interrupted, her eyes flashing with anger. "You come into our neighborhoods, take our land, and build things we can't afford. Then you leave with your profits while we're left with nothing but memories of what used to be. Marcus felt his temper rising. My kind of business? What exactly do you mean by that? I mean people who have so much money they've forgotten what it's like to be human, Sarah said. People who see dollar signs instead of faces. People who think that because they have money, they have the right to take whatever they want. The chairwoman banged her gavel. Order, order. Let's keep this discussion respectful. But Marcus was too angry to be respectful. Miss Johnson, I've worked hard for everything I have. I started with nothing and built an empire. Maybe instead of complaining, you should try to better yourself. The words hung in the air like a bad smell. Several people in the room gasped. Sarah's face went pale, then red with anger. Better myself? She said quietly, but everyone could hear her. Mr. Williams, I work 12 hours a day building the structures that hold up this city. I send money home to help my sick mother pay for her medicine. I volunteer at the soup kitchen every Sunday, and I coach Little League baseball for kids whose parents work 3 jobs to pay rent. She stepped closer to the table where Marcus sat. You think success is measured by how much money you have in the bank. I measure success by how many people you help along the way. And from where I'm standing, you're failing that test. Marcus felt something crack inside his chest, but his pride wouldn't let him back down. Well, Miss Johnson, thankfully the city council will make their decision based on facts and economic benefits, not emotional speeches. We'll see about that, Sarah said, grabbing her notebook and walking toward the exit, but she stopped at the door and turned back. Mr. Williams, money can buy you a lot of things, but it can't buy you a good heart. And someday you're going to need one. As the door closed behind her, Marcus tried to focus on the rest of the meeting. But he couldn't stop thinking about Sarah's words. What did she know about his heart? What did she know about anything? 3 weeks later, the city council approved his hotel project by a vote of 7-5. Marcus should have been happy. He was going to make millions of dollars. But as he celebrated with champagne in his office, he kept thinking about the woman in the baseball cap who had challenged him. He tried to forget about Sarah Johnson and focus on his new project. The construction would take 18 months, and Marcus decided to visit the site every week to make sure everything was perfect. After all, the Williams Grand Hotel would be his greatest achievement. On a hot Tuesday morning in July, Marcus put on his most expensive suit and drove his shiny black car to the construction site. The old community center had been torn down months ago, and now the foundation for his hotel was taking shape. The construction site was loud and busy. Workers in hard hats moved like dancers, each person knowing exactly what to do. Concrete trucks rumbled, cranes lifted heavy beams into the sky, and the sound of hammers echoed off the surrounding buildings. Marcus walked around the site, checking his watch and making notes on his phone. Everything was going according to schedule, and he was pleased. In less than 2 years, this empty lot would hold the most beautiful hotel in the city. But as he walked near the main construction area, he noticed something that made him stop. There, operating a small crane with perfect skill, was a familiar figure. Even with a hard hat covering her hair, he recognized her immediately. It was Sarah Johnson. She was focused on her work, carefully moving a steel beam into place while other workers guided it with ropes. Her movements were smooth and confident, like she had been doing this job her whole life. Sweat dripped down her face, but she never lost concentration. Marcus felt a strange mixture of emotions. Part of him was still angry about their argument at the city council meeting, but another part of him was impressed by her skill and dedication. She worked harder than any of his office employees, and she was helping to build his dream. For a moment, he thought about walking over to talk to her. Maybe he could explain that his hotel really would help the community. Maybe they could find some common ground. But before he could decide what to do, a loud voice called out behind him. "Hey, you can't be here without a hard hat." Marcus turned to see a large man in work clothes walking toward him. The man's face was red with anger, and his hands were clenched into fists. "I'm Marcus Williams," Marcus said, using his most important voice. "I own this project." "I don't care if you own the whole city," the man said. This is a construction site, and you're not dressed for safety. You could get hurt, or worse, you could get someone else hurt. Marcus felt his temper rising again. He wasn't used to being spoken to this way, especially by people who worked for him. Listen, I don't know who you think you are, but I'm the safety supervisor, the man interrupted, and my job is to make sure nobody gets hurt on this site. Rich or poor, owner or worker, everybody follows the same rules here. Other workers had started to notice the argument. Some stopped what they were doing to watch. Marcus saw Sarah look over from her crane, and he felt embarrassed again. Fine, Marcus said through gritted teeth. Get me a hard hat. The safety supervisor handed him a yellow plastic helmet that smelled like sweat and concrete dust. Marcus put it on, feeling ridiculous in his expensive suit and cheap safety equipment. There, the supervisor said. Now you can stay, but don't touch anything, don't get in anybody's way, and if I tell you to move, you move. Understood. Marcus nodded, his jaw tight with anger. He had never been treated like this in his life. But as he looked around at the workers who had gone back to their jobs, he realized something important. Here, his money didn't matter. Here, skill and safety were more important than wealth and power. He spent the rest of the morning walking around the site, trying to stay out of everyone's way. He watched the workers pour concrete, weld metal beams, and measure everything twice to make sure it was perfect. These people took pride in their work, just like he took pride in his business deals. As lunchtime approached, Marcus was getting ready to leave when he heard a terrible sound. The screech of metal against metal, followed by shouting. Look out! The crane cable's snapping. Marcus looked up to see Sarah's crane swaying dangerously. The cable that held the heavy steel beam was starting to break, and the beam was swinging toward a group of workers who were eating lunch nearby. Move! Everyone move! Sarah shouted from the crane operator's seat. She was fighting with the controls, trying to guide the falling beam away from the workers. But Marcus was standing directly in the beam's path, frozen with fear. He tried to run, but his expensive dress shoes slipped on the concrete, and he fell hard to the ground. The massive steel beam was falling straight toward him, and there was nowhere to go. That's when he saw her. Sarah had jumped out of her crane and was running toward him, not away from the danger. She reached him just as the beam came crashing down, along with part of the crane's metal framework. Get under here, she yelled, pushing Marcus toward a partially built concrete wall that might protect them. But they didn't make it in time. The world exploded in a crash of metal and concrete. Marcus felt something heavy slam into his leg, pinning him to the ground. Pain shot through his body like electricity, and he couldn't breathe. When the dust settled and the noise stopped, Marcus found himself trapped under a twisted piece of the crane's metal framework. His leg was definitely broken, maybe worse. He could taste blood in his mouth. But then he heard a voice that cut through his panic. Stay with me. I'm not leaving you here. It was Sarah. She was trapped too. But instead of worrying about herself, she was trying to free him from the metal beam that had him pinned. Her hard hat was cracked, and blood was running down her arm, but she kept pulling at the heavy steel with her bare hands. Why? Marcus whispered, looking into her eyes. Why are you helping me? Sarah stopped pulling for a moment and looked at him. Because that's what people do, she said simply. We help each other. As sirens grew louder in the distance and other workers shouted instructions to the rescue teams, Marcus stared at this woman who was risking her life to save his. All his money, all his power, all his success. None of it mattered now. The only thing that mattered was the kindness of a stranger who had every reason to hate him. The metal beam above them shifted and creaked ominously. Sarah looked up with worry, then back at Marcus. Whatever happens, she said, I want you to know something. That community center you tore down? My father built it with his own hands 40 years ago. It was his dream to give kids in this neighborhood a safe place to play and learn. Marcus felt his heart stop. Sarah, I didn't know. He died 2 years ago, she continued, still trying to move the beam that trapped him. Cancer. He worked his whole life in construction, breathing concrete dust and chemical fumes, but he never complained. He just wanted to build things that would help people. Tears mixed with the blood on Marcus's face.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. The metal above them groaned again, and Sarah looked up nervously. The whole structure was unstable. One wrong move and they could both be crushed. But instead of trying to save herself, Sarah kept working to free Marcus from the steel that pinned his leg. Why? Marcus asked again, his voice breaking. After everything I said to you, after I destroyed your father's memory, why are you doing this? Sarah met his eyes, and Marcus saw something there that he had never seen in his world of business and money. He saw forgiveness. He saw compassion. He saw the kind of person he had forgotten how to be. Because, Sarah said, pulling harder at the beam, this is what my father would have done. Just then, the metal framework above them shifted with a sound like thunder, and several large pieces came crashing down around them. The sound of metal crashing down around them was like the world ending. Marcus closed his eyes and waited for the crushing blow that would end his life. But instead of pain, he felt Sarah's body covering his, protecting him from the falling debris. When the noise stopped, Marcus opened his eyes. Sarah was unconscious, lying across him with a deep cut on her forehead where a piece of metal had struck her. Her breathing was shallow, and her face was pale. Sarah, Marcus whispered, but she didn't respond. Sarah, wake up. He could hear the rescue workers getting closer, their voices echoing through the twisted metal that surrounded them. But they sounded far away, and Marcus wasn't sure if help would arrive in time. For the first time in his adult life, Marcus Williams felt completely helpless. All his money, all his power, all his connections, none of it could help him now. He was trapped under tons of steel with a woman who had saved his life, and there was nothing he could do to save hers. As he lay there in the darkness, listening to Sarah's weak breathing, Marcus began to think about his life in a way he never had before. When had he become so cold? When had he stopped caring about other people? When had making money become more important than being human? Help is coming! A voice called from somewhere above them. Can you hear me down there? Yes, Marcus shouted back, his voice cracking. There are two of us. The woman is hurt badly. We're going to get you out, the voice replied. Just hold on. But as Marcus looked at Sarah's pale face, he wasn't sure she could hold on much longer. The hospital waiting room smelled like disinfectant and fear. Marcus sat in a plastic chair, still wearing his torn and bloody suit, staring at the floor. His left leg was in a cast, and his ribs were wrapped in bandages. But he refused to go home until he knew Sarah was okay. Dr. Martinez, a tired-looking woman with kind eyes, came through the double doors and walked toward him. Mr. Williams? She said, sitting down next to him. Miss Johnson is stable, but she's in serious condition. She has a severe concussion, 3 broken ribs, and internal bleeding. We had to operate to stop the bleeding, but the surgery went well. Marcus felt like he could breathe again for the first time in hours. Will she be okay? She should make a full recovery, Dr. Martinez said. But it will take time. She'll be in the hospital for at least 2 weeks, and then she'll need months of physical therapy before she can return to work. Money is no object, Marcus said quickly. Whatever she needs. The best doctors, private rooms, anything. I'll pay for it. Dr. Martinez looked at him with surprise. That's very generous, Mr. Williams. Most employers don't. She's not my employee, Marcus interrupted. She saved my life. The doctor nodded slowly. She's awake now if you'd like to see her, but keep it short. She needs rest. Marcus hobbled on his crutches down the long hospital hallway, his heart pounding with each step. What would he say to her? How do you thank someone for saving your life? How do you apologize for being the kind of person who needed saving in the first place? Sarah's room was small and white, with machines beeping softly around her bed. She looked so small under the hospital blankets, nothing like the strong, confident woman who had challenged him at the city council meeting. Her eyes were closed, but when Marcus knocked softly on the door frame, she opened them and looked at him. You came, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Marcus moved closer to her bed, balancing on his crutches. "How are you feeling?" Sarah tried to smile, but it was clear she was in pain. "I've been better. How about you?" "I'm fine," Marcus said, then shook his head. "No, that's not true. I'm not fine at all. Sarah, what you did, why you did it, I can't understand it." "Can't understand what?" "Why you saved me," Marcus said, his voice breaking. "After everything I said to you, after I destroyed something that meant so much to you and your family, you still risked your life to help me. Why?" Sarah was quiet for a long moment, looking out the window at the city skyline. "My father used to tell me a story," she finally said. "When he was young, he worked on a construction crew building a bridge. One day, a man in an expensive car drove onto the construction site and started yelling at the workers, telling them they were too slow and threatening to fire everyone." Marcus listened carefully, sensing there was more to the story. "Later that day," Sarah continued, "that same man's car broke down in a bad part O. Some young men surrounded his car and were going to rob him, maybe hurt him. But my father was driving by and saw what was happening. What did he do? He got out of his truck and helped the man, even though the man had been cruel to him earlier. When the man asked why, my father said, 'Because that's who I choose to be, regardless of who you choose to be.'" Marcus felt tears forming in his eyes. "I don't know how to be that kind of person." "Yes, you do," Sarah said softly. "You just forgot." They sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes, listening to the sounds of the hospital around them. Finally, Marcus spoke again. "Sarah, I want to make this right. The hospital bills, your lost wages while you recover, anything you need." "I don't want your money, Marcus," Sarah said, using his first name for the first time. "Then what do you want?" Sarah looked at him with those clear, honest eyes that had haunted his thoughts since their first meeting. "I want you to remember what it felt like to be helpless. I want you to remember what it felt like to need someone else's kindness. And I want you to ask yourself what kind of person you want to be." Marcus nodded, not trusting himself to speak. "There's something else," Sarah said. "I know you're going to finish building your hotel. I can't stop that. But I want you to think about the people who will be affected by it. Not just the rich tourists who will stay there, but the families who live in the neighborhood. The kids who don't have anywhere to play. The elderly people who can't afford to live there anymore once property values go up. What are you asking me to do?" "I'm asking you to build something that serves everyone, not just the wealthy few." Marcus spent the rest of the week visiting Sarah every day. Each time they talked more about their lives, their dreams, and their different views of the world. Marcus learned that Sarah had grown up in the same neighborhood where his hotel was being built. She had learned construction from her father, starting when she was just 12 years old, carrying tools and learning to read blueprints. Sarah learned that Marcus had grown up poor, the son of a single mother who worked 3 jobs to keep food on the table. He had built his fortune through hard work and smart business decisions, but somewhere along the way he had forgotten where he came from. "Money changed me," Marcus admitted during one of their conversations. "When I was poor, I understood what it felt like to struggle. But after I became successful, I started to think that poor people were poor because they didn't work hard enough, not because they didn't have the same opportunities one had." "What made you change your mind?" Sarah asked. Marcus looked at her bandaged head and bruised face. "You did. When you saved my life, you showed me what real strength looks like. It's not about how much money you have or how many buildings you own. It's about how you treat other people, especially when you have nothing to gain from it." On Friday afternoon, Marcus made a decision that would change everything. He called his lawyers and architects to a meeting in Sarah's hospital room. "I want to change the hotel plans," he announced. His head architect, Mr. Peterson, looked confused. "Change them how?" "I want to include a community center," Marcus said. "A place where local families can have birthday parties and wedding receptions, where kids can learn to play basketball, where teenagers can get help with their homework." Mr. Williams, his lawyer, Ms. Chan said carefully, "That will reduce the number of hotel rooms significantly. You'll lose millions in potential revenue." I don't care, Marcus said firmly. I want to build something that honors the memory of what was there before. Sarah's eyes filled with tears, but she was smiling. There's more, Marcus continued. I want to hire locally for construction and hotel jobs. I want to provide job training programs for people in the neighborhood who want to learn new skills. And I want to set aside affordable housing units for families who can't afford market-rate rent. Mr. Peterson was writing furiously, trying to keep up with all the changes. Sir, this is going to cost an additional $15 million at least. Then that's what we'll spend, Marcus said. Sarah, what would you call a community center that serves everyone, regardless of how much money they have? Sarah wiped tears from her eyes. I'd call it the James Johnson Community Center, after my father. Perfect, Marcus said. That's what we'll call it. Over the next few days, word of Marcus's decision spread throughout the construction crew and the neighborhood. Some people were skeptical. They had been disappointed by promises from wealthy developers before. But others were cautiously hopeful. Marcus spent his time visiting Sarah and working with his architects to redesign the hotel. It was challenging work, fitting a community center and affordable housing into a luxury hotel design. But Marcus was determined to make it work. On Tuesday morning, exactly 2 weeks after the accident, Sarah was finally ready to go home. Marcus arrived at the hospital with a wheelchair and a small gift wrapped in blue paper. What's this? Sarah asked as he helped her into the wheelchair. Open it, Marcus said, pushing her toward the elevator. Inside the box was a small silver pendant in the shape of a construction crane. It's beautiful, Sarah said, but I can't accept this. It looks expensive. It's not expensive, Marcus lied. The pendant had actually cost $3,000, but he knew Sarah would never accept it if she knew the real price. It's just a small thank you for saving my life. As they left the hospital and stepped into the bright sunlight, Marcus felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Hope. Not hope for more money or bigger business deals, but hope that he could become the kind of person Sarah believed he could be. Marcus, Sarah said as he helped her into his car. Can I ask you something? Anything. When you were trapped under that metal, what were you thinking about? Marcus was quiet for a moment, remembering those terrifying minutes when he thought he was going to die. I was thinking that I had wasted my life, he said finally. I had all this money and success, but I had never really helped anyone. I had never made the world better. I had never felt love for another person or felt loved by someone else. Sarah reached over and took his hand. You're not wasted, Marcus. You're just getting started. As they drove through the city towards Sarah's apartment, Marcus saw the neighborhoods with new eyes. He noticed the kids playing in small, crowded parks. He saw the elderly people sitting on stoops because they had nowhere else to go. He saw the potential for kindness and community that he had been blind to before. But he also saw something else. A black car following them at a distance, always staying 3 or 4 cars behind. Marcus had noticed the same car outside the hospital for the past few days, but he had assumed it was just a coincidence. Now he wasn't so sure. Sarah, he said carefully, I think someone might be following us. Sarah looked in the side mirror and saw the black sedan. Why would someone follow us? I don't know, Marcus said, but his stomach was tightening with worry. Maybe it's nothing. But as they pulled into Sarah's neighborhood, the black car pulled to the curb and stopped. Marcus could see 2 men in dark suits sitting in the front seat, watching them. Marcus, Sarah said, her voice tense. I think we should call the police. Before Marcus could answer, his cell phone rang. The caller ID showed a number he didn't recognize. Hello, he answered cautiously. Mr. Williams, a smooth, cold voice said. My name is Vincent Blackwood. I think it's time we had a conversation. Mr. Williams, the cold voice continued on the phone. My name is Vincent Blackwood. I represent certain business interests that are very concerned about your recent change of heart. Marcus felt Sarah's hand tighten in his as they sat in his car outside her apartment building. The black sedan was still parked across the street, and Marcus could see the 2 men watching them. I don't know what you're talking about, Marcus said, trying to keep his voice steady. Vincent laughed, but it wasn't a pleasant sound. Oh, I think you do. You see, when you first proposed the Williams Grand Hotel, several of my clients invested heavily in the surrounding properties. They bought old buildings cheaply, planning to tear them down and build expensive condos once your hotel drove up property values. Marcus's stomach dropped. He hadn't thought about how his hotel would affect the entire neighborhood's real estate prices. But now, Vincent continued, you want to include affordable housing and a community center. You want to hire locally and keep the neighborhood character intact. That's very bad for business, Mr. Williams. Good, Marcus said, his anger rising. Maybe it's time someone thought about the people who actually live here instead of just profit margins. I was hoping you'd be reasonable, Vincent said with a sigh. But I can see that this woman has filled your head with foolish ideas about helping the poor. Let me be clear, Mr. Williams. You will build the hotel exactly as originally planned, or there will be consequences. What kind of consequences? The kind that involve accidents, Vincent said quietly. Construction sites can be very dangerous places. Workers get hurt. Sometimes they get hurt badly. It would be terrible if Miss Johnson had another accident just as she was recovering from her first one. Marcus felt rage burning in his chest like fire. If you hurt her, you'll what? Vincent interrupted. Call the police? Good luck proving anything. We're very good at making accidents look accidental. The phone went dead. Sarah had heard enough of the conversation to understand what was happening. Marcus, we need to get inside. Now. They hurried into Sarah's apartment building, Marcus struggling with his crutches and Sarah still weak from her injuries. Her apartment was small but clean, with family photos covering every surface and construction blueprints rolled up in corners. We have to call the police, Sarah said, locking the door behind them. And tell them what? Marcus asked, collapsing onto her couch. That someone threatened us on the phone? Vincent's right. We can't prove anything. Sarah sat down next to him, wincing from the pain in her ribs. So what do we do? Marcus was quiet for a long moment, thinking. All his life he had solved problems with money and power. But this was different. This was about people who were willing to hurt innocent workers to protect their profits. We fight, he said finally. How? By finishing what we started, Marcus said, his voice growing stronger. We build the hotel with the community center and affordable housing just like we planned. But we do it in a way that protects everyone. Over the next few days, Marcus worked harder than he had ever worked in his life. But instead of working to make money, he was working to keep people safe and build something meaningful. First, he hired the best security company in the city to protect the construction site 24 hours a day. Then he called a meeting with all the construction workers, including Sarah, who insisted on attending despite her injuries. The meeting was held in a community church near the construction site. About 50 workers showed up, their faces serious with concern. Word of Vincent's threats had spread quickly through the construction community. Marcus stood at the front of the church, feeling nervous in a way he never felt in business meetings. These weren't wealthy investors or city council members. These were the people who built the city with their own hands. I know you've all heard about the threats, Marcus began. I want you to know that I take them seriously. If anyone wants to quit this project, I understand completely. I'll make sure you get good references and help you find other work. A man in the back row raised his hand. Mr. Williams, what if we don't want to quit? What if we want to finish what we started? Marcus felt a warm feeling in his chest. Then we'll finish it together. But I need you to know that this isn't just about building a hotel anymore. We're building something that will serve this community for generations. We're proving that business can be done with heart, not just profit. Sarah stood up slowly, still wearing her sling. My father always said that construction work was about more than just putting up buildings. He said we were building the foundations that hold up people's dreams. She looked around the room at her fellow workers. This hotel, with the community center and affordable housing, could be the foundation for a lot of dreams. Kids who need a safe place to play. Families who need affordable homes. Young people who need job training and opportunities. But what about our safety? another worker asked. These people sound dangerous. They are dangerous, Marcus admitted. But we're not going to let fear stop us from doing the right thing. I've hired security, and I'm working with the police to investigate Vincent Blackwood and his associates. Most importantly, we're going to work together and watch out for each other. An older woman near the front raised her hand. Mr. Williams, forgive me for asking, but why should we trust you? 6 months ago, you were just another rich developer who didn't care about our community. What changed? Marcus looked at Sarah, who nodded encouragingly. What changed was that I learned what real strength looks like, he said. I used to think strength was about having power over other people. But Sarah showed me that real strength is about lifting other people up, even when you have nothing to gain from it. He paused, looking around the room at the weathered faces of men and women who had spent their lives building other people's dreams. I also learned that success isn't measured by how much money you have, Marcus continued. It's measured by how many lives you make better. I want to build something that my children and grandchildren can be proud of. Something that honors the memory of people like Sarah's father, who built this community with love and dedication. By the end of the meeting, every single worker had agreed to stay on the project. But Vincent Blackwood wasn't finished with his threats. The next Monday morning, Marcus arrived at the construction site to find that someone had sabotaged several pieces of equipment during the night. Concrete mixers had sand poured into their engines, and electrical cables had been cut. It could have been much worse, the security chief told Marcus. If we hadn't had guards on duty, they might have done something that could have hurt people. Marcus felt his determination grow stronger. Vincent was trying to intimidate them, but instead, he was only proving how important their work was. Fix everything, Marcus told his project manager. Whatever it costs. Fix it all and get back to work. But the real test came 2 weeks later. Sarah had been cleared by her doctors to return to light work, and she insisted on operating one of the smaller cranes despite Marcus's concerns for her safety. She said she needed to be there, helping to build something positive out of the tragedy that had brought them together. It was a beautiful Thursday morning in September when Vincent Blackwood finally showed himself. Marcus was reviewing blueprints with his architect when an expensive black limousine pulled up to the construction site. Vincent stepped out, wearing a perfectly tailored suit and an expression of cold confidence. He was younger than Marcus had expected, maybe 40 years old, with silver hair and eyes like ice. 2 large men in dark suits flanked him as he walked onto the construction site. Mr. Williams, Vincent said with a fake smile. I thought it was time we met face to face. Get off my property, Marcus said, standing up straighter despite his crutches. Now, Vincent said, looking around at the busy construction site. Is that any way to treat a potential business partner? I have a very generous offer for you. I'm not interested. Vincent pulled out a check and held it up so Marcus could see it. $500 million, he said. Enough to buy this entire project twice over. All you have to do is go back to the original hotel plans. No community center, no affordable housing, no local hiring requirements. Marcus looked at the check. $500 million was more money than he had ever seen in one place. With that much money, he could build 10 hotels anywhere he wanted. But then he looked across the construction site and saw Sarah operating her crane, carefully placing steel beams exactly where they needed to go. He saw workers who had become his friends, people who trusted him to keep his promises. No, Marcus said, pushing the check away. Vincent's fake smile disappeared. I was hoping you wouldn't say that. Why? Marcus asked. Because now you'll have to make good on your threats? Oh, I don't make threats, Mr. Williams. I make promises. And I promise you that if you don't take this deal, people are going to get hurt. Vincent nodded to one of his men, who pulled out a cell phone and made a quick call. Across the construction site, Sarah's crane suddenly lurched and began swinging wildly. The steel beam she was carrying broke free from its cables and crashed to the ground, missing a group of workers by only a few feet. Oops, Vincent said with a cruel smile. Mechanical failures can be so unpredictable. Marcus felt rage building inside him. But before he could say anything, He heard Sarah's voice over the construction site's loudspeaker system. "Attention everyone!" Sarah's voice echoed across the site. "We have uninvited guests who are trying to sabotage our work and hurt our people. I think it's time we showed them what this community is really made of." Within minutes, construction workers began gathering around Vincent and his men. They didn't say anything threatening, but their presence was powerful. These were people who built skyscrapers and bridges with their bare hands. They weren't afraid of men in expensive suits. Vincent looked around nervously as more and more workers approached. "You can't intimidate me with a bunch of construction workers," he said, but his voice wasn't as confident as before. "We're not trying to intimidate you," said the safety supervisor who had confronted Marcus on his first day at the site. "We're just curious about why you're sabotaging our equipment and endangering our lives." "I don't know what you're talking about," Vincent said. "Sure you do," Sarah said, walking up to the group with her hard hat in her hand and a determined look on her face. "You're the man who's been making threats. You're the one who's been trying to force Mr. Williams to abandon his plans to help this community." Vincent looked at Sarah with disgust. "You're the one who's been filling his head with foolish ideas about charity and community service. Before he met you, Marcus Williams understood that business was about profit, not feelings." "You're right," Sarah said. "Before the accident, Mr. Williams was focused only on making money. But you know what? He was miserable. He had everything money could buy, but he had nothing that really mattered." She looked around at the circle of workers surrounding them. These people understand what really matters: family, community, building something that will last longer than any bank account. Marcus stepped forward, balancing on his crutches. "Vincent, I've made my decision. We're building this hotel exactly as planned, with the community center and affordable housing. If you want to try to stop us, you'll have to go through all of us." Vincent looked around at the 50 construction workers surrounding him and realized he was outnumbered and outmatched. These weren't people he could intimidate with threats or buy with money. "This isn't over," he said, backing toward his limousine. "Yes, it is," Marcus said firmly, "because I'm calling the FBI. Threatening workers and sabotaging construction equipment are federal crimes. You're going to prison, Vincent." As Vincent's limousine sped away, Marcus felt a hand on his shoulder. It was Sarah, smiling at him with pride. "You did it," she said. "You chose what kind of person you wanted to be." Marcus looked around at the workers who had stood with him against Vincent's threats. These people had become more than employees. They had become his friends, his community, his family. "We did it," he corrected. "We all did it together." 18 months later, the Williams Grand Hotel opened on a bright Saturday morning in March, with a ribbon-cutting ceremony that brought together people from all over the city. But this wasn't just a celebration for wealthy hotel guests. It was a celebration for the entire community. The hotel was beautiful, with elegant rooms and fine dining that attracted visitors from around the world. But the real heart of the building was the James Johnson Community Center, where children were already playing basketball and families were planning birthday parties. The affordable housing units were home to 30 families who had never dreamed they could live in such a beautiful building. The job training program had already helped 50 people learn new skills and find good-paying work. Marcus stood on the stage next to Sarah, looking out at the crowd of hundreds of people who had come to celebrate. Vincent Blackwood was in federal prison, convicted of extortion and conspiracy. His investors had lost millions of dollars, but Marcus didn't feel sorry for them. "Ladies and gentlemen," Marcus said into the microphone, "when I first proposed this hotel, I thought success meant making as much money as possible. But a very wise woman taught me that real success means making as many lives better as possible." He looked at Sarah, who was wearing a beautiful blue dress and the silver crane pendant he had given her at the hospital. Over the past 18 months, their friendship had grown into something deeper. They had faced danger together, worked together, and built something beautiful together. This hotel exists because a construction worker named Sarah Johnson was brave enough to challenge a stubborn billionaire who had forgotten how to care about other people. Marcus continued. "She saved my life in more ways than one." The crowd applauded as Marcus got down on one knee, balancing carefully on his crutches. "Sarah Johnson," he said, pulling out a small velvet box. "You taught me that the strongest foundation for any building is love and community. Will you help me build a life on that foundation? Will you marry me?" Sarah's eyes filled with tears as she looked down at the man who had transformed from a selfish billionaire into someone who used his wealth to lift up others. "Yes," she said, and the crowd erupted in cheers. As Marcus slipped the ring onto Sarah's finger, he realized that he had finally found what he had been searching for his whole life. Not more money or bigger business deals, but love, community, and purpose. The Williams Grand Hotel became a model for other developers around the country, proving that luxury and community service could exist in the same building. Marcus started a foundation that helped other developers include affordable housing and community centers in their projects. Sarah continued working in construction, but now she also taught job training classes at the community center. She and Marcus were married 6 months later in the same church where they had held their meeting with the construction workers. On their wedding day, as they danced their first dance in the community center ballroom, Marcus whispered in Sarah's ear, "Thank you for saving my life. Thank you for choosing to live it differently," Sarah whispered back, looking around at their friends and family, construction workers and business executives, wealthy investors and neighborhood families, all celebrating together. Marcus realized that the most valuable thing he had ever built wasn't made of steel and concrete. It was built of love, community, and second chances, and it would last forever. Comment continue for more of the story.